Hi and welcome to my tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these cute little Christmas stockings. They're super easy to make. The tutorial's designed to be beginner friendly, and if you stay to the end of the tutorial I will explain at the end how to make your stocking larger, so this one, or how to make it smaller than this one. So in this tutorial today I'm going to be showing you this size, which is 11 inches across, 28 centimeters, about 9 centimeters, 4 inches wide. So I'm going to show you how to do these. If you've subscribed to my channel, thank you very much. If you've not subscribed, you can do by hitting the subscription button below, and if you tick on the bell, that means you'll be notified every time I upload a tutorial. If you've got any questions throughout the tutorial, pop them in the comments box and I will come back to you. You're a lovely community and I've noticed quite a few of you answer each other's questions on there as well, which is absolutely lovely. So yeah, they're perfect for the kiddies, for decorations, for gifts, a different way of gift wrapping, I suppose, a gift for somebody, and then they've got it as a keepsake. You can do it in various different colours. So let's get started. So for the tutorial you'll need your selected yarn. I'm using Stylecraft Speacial DK in Matador and also in white. I'll pop a link in the description box of a fantastic company where you can buy that from, and a corresponding crochet hook. So this calls for a 4mm, so that's what I'm using. If you're using a different weight of yarn, then just use the hook size the yarn recommends. Embroidery scissors and a darning needle. So let's begin. So the start of the stocking, we start at the toe. So we're going to be working treble crochets, that's UK terminology. So that's a double crochet in the US, in a round. Okay, so we can start by either creating a magic loop, or you can chain 4 and slip stitch to the first stitch. So if you're going to be chaining, then I'll just show you how to do that. You just chain 1, 2, 3, 4, and then slip stitch to the first stitch. So if you're doing it that way, you'll then be working into this loop here. Be careful not to go into there, you'll be working into that. If you're going to do the magic ring, which I know some people struggle with, which is why I've given 2 options, grab your yarn, cross over at the back, insert your hook, pull up the loop, it's fiddly, and grab your yarn to secure. And that's your magic loop. So to start with, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and that counts as your very first treble crochet. So now we want a total of 12 treble crochets in this ring, and that counts as the first one. So we need to do a further 11 treble crochets. So a reminder how to do that: you yarn over, insert your hook into the loop, grab the yarn and pull up a loop. So you've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So yarn over, insert, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So as you can see, including the chain 3, we've now got 3 and we want 12 in total. So we're just going to continue working into the loop until we have 12 treble crochets. So if you'd like to pause the video and complete that, and I'll meet you for the next part. So I've now got 12 treble crochets, so I'm just going to pull on the tail and close that loop. If you've done a chain 4 and worked into that loop, you might be able to pull it slightly, but it should be more closed anyway. And then to complete the round, we're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. So it might be tucked away a little bit, your chain 3 there, but we just want to put a slip stitch into the top of that chain. So for round 2, we're going to chain 3 again, 1, 2, 3. And this round we're going to increase in each stitch. So we'll have a total of 24 stitches by the end of the round. So again, this counts as our first stitch. So we're going to go back into the same stitch we've just been in. So that's this one here. So that's our first increase. Our second increase, we're going to work into the next stitch along, which is, I know it's hard to see on the white yarn, it's that one there. We're going to put 2 in there, 1, and then back in for 2. And we're going to complete that all the way around. So the next stitch is here. One and 2. So if you complete that all the way around, you'll have 24 stitches in total. So if you'd like to pause the video and do that, and I'll meet you back for the very last 2 to show you where they go. So I've just got my very last stitch to work in. So just to show you here, because it can be a bit confusing, this is the very last stitch. So this is the stitch to it here. So it could appear that you've got another one there, but that's not right, because that's our chain 3 and our increase from the very beginning. If you get confused at this point, count back to make sure you've got 22 stitches, and we just need another 2 to complete the 24. So that's what I recommend if you do get a little bit confused at this stage. Otherwise we'll just go ahead and put the last 2 stitches into there, and then we want to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round. So that's the second round complete, and we're now actually going to go and attach our red yarn to make a start on the foot. So attach your yarn however you usually do it. I just basically pull that through there and secure it by, oops, get that bit off. Secure it by popping a knot in there. It's nice and tight. I always do 2 actually. There we go. Okay, so for this round we're going to chain 3 again, 1, 2 and 3. Now if you want to work around your work to save tying in more ends, you can do at this stage. And all we're going to do for this round and the next probably 6 rounds in total is 1 treble crochet, that's double crochet in the US, treble in the UK, in each stitch around for a total of 24 stitches. So our next stitch, so I've worked there, I'll just show you where that is because it can be confusing. Our next stitch is this one here, and I'm going to work around my work to save me tying in ends because none of us like that bit, do we? So that's the first one. The second. Third. So if you just complete that, pause the video and I'll meet you back for the very last stitch to show you that one. So I'm just coming to the end of the round and I've just got the one stitch left to do. So yarn over, insert your hook, and there we go. So now we want to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 to complete the round. Now your work will start curling up, as you can see mine is here, and that's perfectly normal. That's what we want to do because we're going to be, it'll start working up like this now. So that's the first round of red. We want to do 6 in total, so we've got 5 more. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, that counts as your very first stitch, so that belongs to that. So the next one is this here, and we'll have 24 stitches in total. So put a stitch in each, a treble crochet in each stitch, slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 to complete the round, and then start a new round. So we want 6 red in total. So if you'd like to complete that, and I will meet you back for the next part. So I've just got to the end of my round, so there's 6 rows in total of the red. So we'll just tie off our work and snip that, and then now we're going to move on to the heel. So where you've just tied off there, that's where I'm going to put the base of my heel, because that's where our chain 3s are. Doesn't really matter too much. It's not really that noticeable, is it? There, but it just gives it a better finish. So just fold your work in half. So for the heel, what we want is we're going to be working in rows rather than rounds just for this little bit, and we've got a total of 24 stitches here, so we want half of that, so we want 12 stitches, so it'll be 6 either side in effect. So working back from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 stitches. Doesn't matter exactly, it's just to make your work look a little neater. So that's where we're going to attach our white yarn. So we will attach that now, and then you want to chain 3, so you can either attach it or you can tie a knot, whichever way you usually change colour. I'll just do it, I'll knot it. Okay, so we want to chain 3 again, 1, 2, 3, and as it has done previously, that counts as our first stitch, so that's 1, and we want 12 in total. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So for this part, as I say, we're going to work. So this time, this chain 3 here does count as our first stitch, but for this little section now, we're just going to chain 2 and turn our work, and that chain 2 doesn't count as part of our stitches because we're now going to decrease. So we're going to decrease 2 treble crochets together. So I'll show you how to do that. So you yarn over, insert your hook into this very first stitch, grab the yarn and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Then we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, grab the yarn and pull up a loop. We've got 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and that decreases those 2 stitches into 1 stitch. And we're going to do 2 of these either side of our work, so we're going to do another one. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, grab the yarn and pull up a loop, so you've got 3 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. But we're going to stop there and yarn over and insert into the next stitch, grab the yarn to pull up a loop, so we've got 4 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the remaining 3 loops. So that's treble crochet 2 together, or double crochet 2 together if you're in the US. Now we want to do that either side of our work, so we're going to do it on this side as well, and that chain 3 counted as a stitch, so that's 1, 2, so that's our decreases there, and then another decrease there. So that means we've just got 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches to work into now to do a single treble crochet. So yarn splitting, so that's 1 treble crochet into that, 1 treble into the next stitch, 1 treble into the next stitch, and 1 treble into the next stitch. So we've just done 4 singular treble crochets, should I say. And now we want to join 2 together again, so we'll go ahead and do that. And for the last one, so this is our next stitch, so we yarn over, insert our hook, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and then the top of our chain 3 is our very last stitch, so you just need to get that hook in there and just complete the 2 together as we would. Okay, now we want to chain 2 again, and that doesn't count as a stitch, and turn our work. And basically what we want to do is the same again. So we're going to treble crochet the first 2 stitches together, treble crochet the next 2 stitches together, and we want to mirror that on the opposite side as well. So for this round actually we're just treble crocheting 2 stitches together all along. So your last stitch, it's really difficult to tell on white yarn, but your very last stitch, we had that chain 2 from the beginning. That didn't count as a stitch, so it does make it look rather bulky at that end. But if you just find your last stitch that's there, and we're kind of ignoring that chain 2. So by treble crocheting 2 together 1, 2, 3, 4 times, that means we've now got 4 stitches left. Now what we're going to do for the next 3 rounds is just flip reverse that, or mirror it, so we end up with a going back out. So we're going to do increases now. So this time we will chain 3 and turn, and the chain 3 will count as our first stitch. So 1, 2, 3 and turn. So we've just done 4 decreases, so that means we're going to do 4 increases. So this is our first stitch. We need to put another treble into the very base of this stitch. That's our first increase. And then we need to put 2 trebles into the next stitch for our second increase. So 1 and 2. and then 2 into the next stitch, 1 and 2, and 2 into the last stitch. And again, it will look a bit bulky because of that chain 2 from the previous round, and 2. So now we've gone from 4 stitches to 8 stitches. We're going to chain 3 and turn our work, and this time we want to kind of mirror this row. So we had 2 decreases at either end, so on this we want 2 increases at either end. So this chain 3 counts as our first stitch, so we just pop another 1 in there, and that completes our first increase. In the next stitch we want to do an increase, so that means putting 1 and 2 treble crochets. Then in the next 4 stitches we're just going to put 1 treble crochet. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then in the next stitch we're going to do our increase, so we're going to put 2, 1 and 2, and in the very last stitch, which was our chain 3, so we're working into the top of the chain 3, so it might look like you've finished but you've not, and as I said earlier, always count your stitches if you get confused. Sometimes really difficult to work into that. If you find that, just work around it. If you really struggle, it doesn't really matter. So 1 and 2, so 2 stitches there, and then we're going to chain 3 and turn our work for the final part of the heel. And basically we're just going to do the same yet again as we did here. So to mirror back this row here, we started with 12 treble crochets, so we're just going to do 12 treble crochets. So we've chained 3 and turned. That counts as our first stitch, so we're not increasing, so we're not going to work into that stitch because this is our first one. So that's 1. We want 12 in total, so we're just working all across. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So our last stitch, just doing the 12th one now, is the top of the chain 3 from the previous round. So don't make the mistake of thinking you've finished there. Pop that 12th treble crochet into the top of the chain 3. So that's the white bit of the heel finished. We want to pull up a loop and tie off, but we want to leave quite a longish tail, about that length will be fine, because we're now going to seam our heel. So here you can see what all we're going to do here now is stitch up that side, pass our yarn through and stitch up that side, and that will then create this to work round. So we did 12 stitches, so we've used up 12 stitches here, we've got 12 stitches here, so that'll bring us back to having 24 stitches in a round. So it'll come more apparent. So for this now you need your darning needle, so if you thread that on your hook and we'll get started. So sorry, not thread it on your hook, thread it on your darning needle. Right, so make sure you're not going backwards here. We're going in towards the sock, stocking. So we're going to fold it that way. Yeah? Okay. And then all we're going to do, just fold it nice and neat. And we're just going to stitch up along this side. This doesn't have to be perfect, guys. Obviously, if you're nice and neat, that's great, but if you're not, anybody that watches my tutorials will know this is not my favourite bit, stitching up. Just right to the top there. Okay, so that's one side done. Then what we want to do now is just pop your hook in through the inside here, and then just thread it so we can get to the other side, so you don't have to use another piece of yarn. So just thread it through your centre. Don't pull on it too tight because you don't want to scrunch that up, and then just continue sewing it down. Be careful not to get the top of the chain 3 here, because that's our first stitch, so be careful not to stitch that. You know, my hands are terribly dry. Autumn and winter, I use the Body Shop hemp hand cream, but I've left it in my office. I need to go and get it, because a couple of applications of that and it'll sort it right out, but I didn't want to delay doing tutorials any longer. I've just caught that. I've just caught the top of the chain 3 here. So what I'm just going to do is pause the video and unthread that little bit. Yeah, I don't know if you could see, I just caught it there then. And that's the top of our stitch. So I'm just going to rethread it and go back through it. Right. So that's the top of the, I'll show you what I'm doing here actually, because you might come across the same problem. So that's the chain 3 from the previous round, and we're going to want to work in the top of that chain. So all I'm going to do at this bit is just go into here and just go into that there to finish it off. And then all we want to do is tie this bit off. And we might as well just tie the ends in now while I'm here. Right, okay. So this is how your work should be looking now. So we've got 12 red stitches and we've got 12 white stitches, and we want to continue now working in a round with our red yarn, and we want 12 stitches in total. So we can attach our yarn wherever we like. So we've snipped off the end and completed the heel. So now we want to attach our red yarn and continue with the red. Before we do, I'll explain what we're going to do now. So we're going to now continue working back in a round as we were here. So here we've got 12 stitches, and here we've got 12 stitches, so that gives us our 24 that we were working on earlier. Now I know at this point this is where people may struggle at these two corners, so a little tip and a recommendation is to mark them. So I've not got stitch markers to hand, so I'm going to use a different colour yarn. So for this bit I've just snipped off 4 pieces of green yarn. Right, so here, can you see that's our chain 3 from our previous round on here? So the top of the chain 3 will be a stitch, so I'm going to mark that. Okay. Then on this side, because it joins there, that is our last stitch. So I'm going to mark that. You don't have to do this bit, it just makes it easy if you struggle with faffy bits like this. Our last stitch on here is that one, the red one that looks quite apparent. Oh well, fingers and thumbs here, flipping heck. I tell you, anything that's fiddly is much more fiddly when you're on camera, believe me. Right. And I'm not sure which is our last stitch there, so I'm going to count it with you, because these are the problems you're going to come across as well. So we want 24 in total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's right. On that side. And then 1. And then that's our next one next to the chain 3. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's our last stitch there, because the 12 plus 12 gives us the 24. So now we know at either end where we're going, which makes life easier for us. So attaching the yarn, like we did here where the chain 3s are on the sole of the foot, I want mine to be at the back here, so anywhere middle-ish. You don't have to count it and be that accurate. Attach your red yarn. And that heel bit was the hardest bit of the tutorial, so it's all easy peasy from here on out once we've done this round. So attach the yarn, we're going to chain 3. And we're back to the chain 3 counting as our first stitch in every round. And I'm going to work around this bit of work, this bit of tail here. So we've chained 3. Now we're going to do a treble crochet in each stitch around for 24 stitches. So here is the next one. Next one. I'll tie that in after, actually, it's a bit loose. Oh yeah, and make sure you're working the way around I have, so attaching it on the back, not on the inside, otherwise you're going to have your stitches back to front. Do you get me? So that marked work is our next stitch, so I'll do that. And I can take that out, and then the next one stitch is my marked work again, so I can take that out. Just makes life easier. So where's my next stitch? It's there. And then there. So we're just going. I'm just going to speed up while I do this so I can meet you at the other corner and show you. So if you need to pause the video and catch up, that's fine. Right, so the next is my marked work, next stitch. That's that one. And then my last stitch is the marked work. I say my last stitch on this corner. And just continue. Sorry, I'm going off camera there, weren't I? So that's it, that's the round complete. So just to finish the round, we want to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. And that's our round completed. Now, it does dip there is a V, but trust me, the further you go, the straighter that will become. So here on out, all we're doing now is rounds of red until you get to the desired height of your stocking, and then we're just going to switch to white to finish it off. And if you want to put a little hook on it, you can as well. So there's no hard and fast rules here as to how many rounds you complete. It's until you get to your desired height. So all we're going to do is chain 1, 2, 3, go into the next stitch because that counts as a stitch, so that belongs to that. So here's our next stitch. That one, not that one, that one. And we're just going to keep completing the same thing. So I'm going to do a treble crochet in each stitch around. It'll be 24 stitches in total. Then when I get to the end of the round, I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3, and then I'm going to start the next round by chaining 3. And we're just going to go round and round and round and complete that until you've got to the desired height. So if you'd like to pause the video, do that, and I'll meet you back for the colour change for the white. So for this, I've just finished rather my height of my stocking, and it was 10 rounds in total that I've done for this. And now I'm going to work on the top white bit. So I'm just going to snip off the red yarn and connect the white yarn. Attach the white yarn rather. And then all we're going to do is just continue. So I'm going to do 6 rows of white so that I can fold it over and have a rim. So attach your yarn and chain 3. That counts as our first stitch. I'm going to work around the yarn here so I don't have to tie in as much at the end, and we're just going to complete the same again but in white. So 1 treble crochet, double in the US, into each stitch around for 24 stitches in total. That's including our chain 3 from the beginning of the round. then slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 and start your next round. So I'm going to do this now for 6 rounds in total. So if you'd like to complete that, and I'll meet you back here. So I've come to the end of my very last round. So I'm just going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3, yarn over and tie off. And your work should now be looking a little bit like this. So for me, I just want to fold over 3 and 3, so I've got 6 rows of white, so fold it over like that. If you want to attach a loop, I just basically went through, find the middle roughly at the back, attach the yarn, and I just chained. Just chain to the length that I thought, and then insert my hook again, attach it again and tie up. And that's the simplest way to do your loop. There's other ways to do it. You could do cord and attach it. You could crochet, double crochet, UK, single crochet US around it if you wanted it to be more chunky, but I wanted mine just to be quite simple. So there you have it. That's your stocking complete. Now I've noticed on mine at either side it's quite gappy there. My tension must have been looser. You see there? You don't have to, yours might not be like that, you don't have to do this, but what I would do to resolve this little problem is attach some white yarn to that stitch there, and that stitch there, so that stitch next to it, I would just pull it in like that. And then tie it off and weave those ends in. So yours might not be as gappy like that, like mine was, or it might not bother you, but that for me personally would get on my nerves. So I've just attached it shut, and I'll just tie these ends in. You can see here it's a bit gappy as well. So just pull them two together, that's all you're doing there. Just gives it a nicer finish. So if you've liked this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscription button below and ticking the notifications bell so you get notifications every time I upload. Now, what I'm going to go through is how to make a bigger version, just this one, and how to make a smaller version. So I'll just run through that for you now. You may or may not want to do it. It all starts with the foot here. So it's the size of your circle that will determine the size of your stocking. Now everything stays into proportion, there's just a few different changes that you will need to make. So to do a smaller one, you'd not do the increases, you'd just go off the 12 stitches of the white there, change to your red and do 12 stitches in each stitch all along and go up until you get to the heel. To make it bigger, like I have done on this one, you're basically going to increase the same way you would working in a round like this. If you're unsure how to do that, I've linked a link to a tutorial for a face scrubby, a simple face scrubby, which is basically this, to give you an idea, but I'll just briefly explain. So we did our first round 12 treble crochets, and then we did an increase in each stitch around, giving us 24. On the next round you want to increase by another 12 stitches, and then if you go on to another round you want another 12 stitches, and so on and so forth. So you would complete as we have done in this tutorial for those 2 rounds. Then on the next round you would do 1 treble crochet, 1 increase, 1 treble, 1 increase, 1 treble, 1 increase all around. If you wanted to go even bigger, on the next round you would do 1 treble, 1 treble, increase, 1 treble, 1 treble, increase, 1 1 increase, 1 1 increase. The next round 3 lots of trebles, then your increase. The next round 4 lots of trebles, then your increase. So that's how you would do it. So that toe would determine the size. So for this size I just did 1 extra round here. Then you would continue until you get to the heel. So when we got to the heel, if you remember, we did decreases. We did 2 decreases on each end until we got to 4 stitches remaining. Then we mirrored it by doing increases. It's exactly the same concept. So you would decrease by 2 on each end until you get to 4 stitches. So you'll have more rows. You'll end up having more rows on this as well. But by doing it that way, just increasing 2 either side until you get to 4, you're going to keep your stocking in proportion, your heel and your toe in proportion. Once you've done that, you just mirror it and increase the opposite way for the same amount of rounds you did the decrease. And then you just attach and continue as normal. Now, of course, here there was 10 rounds. There's going to be a lot more here to keep it in proportion. But that's how you would make different sizes. With regards to colour, you could have red and white stripy. That looks really nice. So you're just changing colour every other round. Red, white, red, white. Most people usually have it stripy but keep the toe caps plain white. You could do it in green, you could do it in a solid colour. So there's lots of different variations that you can do. If you've got any questions, then you can pop them in the comments box below and I do get back to you. Again, if you've enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. I love to see all your work, so if you join me on my social media, the links are in the description box. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. There's Facebook groups there as well. Come and join and share your work so we can have a look at what you've done. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time.